So when I'm throwing thunder cricket for smallmouth, a lot of times, you know, you're wanting that bait to stay down in the column a little bit. So I want something without a lot of action to it, and I like a straight king blade minnow. So, you know, I've got kind of a blue glimmer shad. This is a 1/2 ounce tungsten thunder cricket right here. You know, here in this clear water, I'll shorten it up just a little bit. You know, I mean, they're feeding on smaller bait fish. This is a Carolina chrome right here. It has a lot of flash to it, but I like, you know, chartreuse and white with a pearl trailer is one of my all-time favorites, even in real clear water. You know, it's a little perchy, a little shaddy. This here with this bright sunshine really has a lot of flash to it. So, you know, it's fantastic. And then, you know, I'll throw green pumpkin. That summer craw, that green pumpkin chartreuse, something with some chartreuse on it for them is really good. So I'll kind of just mix it up between those two colors and decide what they're going to, you know, bite. And again, water clarity is the big key there. So in clear water, I want it a little bit more natural, but still real visible. And in dirty water, you know, I want it as visible as possible. So, God, he creamed it. I mean, I grew up burning a spinnerbait for smallmouth, and I love doing that. I mean, it's an incredible bite to, you know, when you first do that. But I can tell you, that thunder cricket right there is a really overlooked smallmouth, and not just smallmouth, but big fish. They'll come a long ways to bite this thing. You know, smallmouth in the north especially are clear water fish. They're sight feeders. In the south, in the reservoirs that I've been to, you know, they use vibration a lot. So I mean, there's something about this thunder cricket, and I've learned just how good it is of a bait to catch big smallmouth with. This bait right here, it's deadly, deadly effective. You know, the most important thing is you don't want them to get too good a look at it. So instead of, you know, thinking in like you would for largemouth that you got to let that bait get down in the water column, get it down in the grass, things like that, I'm basically buzzing it right underneath the surface, and they come up and crush it. Got it. God, he got it too. Nice. We will, I mean, the bite is so much fun on this thunder cricket like this. I mean, it's just a good solid fish right there. But the one thing about it is I throw a lot of different equipment for this. You know, I mean, right here I've got my GC7. It's a 7.4 heavy action rod. I mean, for these smallmouth, you want to hit them hard. I throw a 20-pound test line. I've got a hyper mag, you know, with a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. And you know, you make a real long cast, that's key. You make a real long cast, keep that rod tip up, and I'm buzzing it. And then just every now and then, you know, I'll just kind of flare it a little bit like that. The same way that I'd burn a spinnerbait. You know, you can twitch it a little bit. You know, there's some floating grass here on the surface, but overall, you know, you want to just reel it pretty dang fast and keep it high in the water column. So I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce tungsten, tour grade tungsten thunder cricket. And what I really like about that is the blade is a little bit smaller, and I can reel it fast and it still stays below the surface. You know, the regular thunder cricket works real well too, but for the faster retrieve, that little smaller blade really, you know, it's got a tight vibration to it, and I've had a lot of success with it. So it's just a really good smallmouth, you know, bladed jig. And for largemouth and colder water, things like that, when you need to slow it down, that's not, you know, this is not the technique or the retrieve. But for this kind of deal where you're covering a lot of water and you're trying to make these fish react, you know, a setup like this just makes all the difference in the world. You know, I've got a lot of power in this rod. When you get that bite, a lot of times they'll just come right up behind it and swallow it and come towards you, so you can, you know, move a lot of line. You got a long rod, you got a fast reel, and you can catch up to them real quick. It's a great smallmouth bait in a lot of situations. You know, if the fish are in dirty water, and I see that a lot on the Tennessee River, some of the lakes down south, even Table Rock, if that water gets stained up, slow rolling a thunder cricket is very good. But up here in the north, I'm basically burning it almost like I'd fish a spinnerbait just underneath the surface. You know, I like wind for it, but sunshine is key. You know, today I don't have a lot of wind, but we got good sunshine. So if I can keep it high in the water column, this bait gives off a lot of flash, and they actually just come up and eat it. In a lot of cases, it seems to be better than a spinnerbait because it has a subtler flash to it, you know. So spinnerbait's still one of my favorites, but I have a lot of success with this, and it catches big ones.